Okay, so let's see. I'm starting the live, but I don't see it live on YouTube already. Oh, and I can share with you the link if you want to share, I don't know, somewhere.
Oh yeah.
It says 1 minute and 40 seconds on.
Okay, yeah, we are live.
Yeah, it is.
3
Hello, world.
attendees. Hello world. Do you hear us from home?
Yes.
Say hi in the chat if you hear us.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Yo.
You hear us? Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to confirm that everything is working fine with the audio. Marco, can you tell us?
Just 1 second.
Okay, Paolo is loading. I don't know, ci sentite? Okay, yeah. Marco just confirmed. So, yeah, I don't know, Paolo just vanished. We were about to start. By the way, you are okay. Paul is back. So happy to be here tonight with Mattia and Kirsten, two good friends and two really amazing builders in Web3. I met them in many conferences and hackathons so far. And then we have also with us Orbulo, and you know Orbulo, one of the Urbe co-founders. And yeah, I decided to organize this online session just to bring the experience from Mattia and Kirsten, but also Paolo, who recently won a big bounty at Eat Prague Hackathon, because I feel like it's really valuable to share these kind of things in our community, where we are focusing on builders, and we are planning also to organize an hackathon, as you all know. So I simply start with asking you a brief intro about yourself. Also, Paolo, if you want to introduce yourself, of course. You never appeared on this channel, I think.
No.
All right. Yeah. So let's start with Mattia and Kirsten, and then you can go.
Okay, I'll go. Well, as you can guess, I'm Mattia. I'm from Italy, and I've been, into coding and building stuff for a while, like 5-6 years. I started in high school, then went to university and studied computer science. But on the side, I was doing a bunch of other things. I was freelancing into web dev, traditional Web 2 stuff, doing other projects on my own, like side projects with friends and stuff like that. Then eventually discover Web3 world and just really fell in love with it initially because of the technology. I'm just super curious about technology, and I found this blockchain thing and was like, wow, this is so different than everything else that I've played around with. So I tried to understand more, and then really realized that it's just not a technology, it's more than that. It's a lot of cool things behind it, different incentives for people, different ways of organizing people, and so that's why I keep building in this. And currently, I worked in a couple of startups, and then now I'm working on my own project that I started a few months ago. And I'm nomad. I go around a lot of hackathons. I'm really obsessed with hackathons. I love them, and they're fun. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. So I'm Kirsten. Good to meet you all. Background on me. I had a first career in politics working on libertarian issues in the US. So this was how I came across crypto initially, but I didn't really pay attention until I realized that you could build software on it. So when I was working in politics, I was moonlighting on different software startups, and eventually I realized that politics wasn't really something that was actually where I could make an impact on the world, and more so it was developers that are building innovative technologies that were doing that. So I ended up quitting politics, and then I needed to make money so that I could work on my startup. So I taught myself to code, and then made money on freelance marketplaces, and eventually moved from startup to startup, and learned about blockchain technology, got super involved in a few different chain ecosystems, and then got into blockchain governance. So that was like when I started working in blockchain full time. I consulted on blockchain governance alongside like just a few different organizations, but basically people that were smarter than me, with more experience than me, and luckily I got to learn a lot from them. And then eventually I got the entrepreneurship bug again, and in like 2020 built out a NFT marketplace SDK thing that we ended up just raising some VC for, growing the team, got some clients, but it wasn't like the most impactful application of the technology, I felt. So I ended up leaving that in 2021 or 2022, yeah. Very beginning of 2022, and founding Talent Layer, which is what we've been building for like the past year. Talent Layer is basically infrastructure for building more efficient hiring systems. So just taking some of the freelance knowledge and some experience with my prior startups and applying that there. But yeah, won't necessarily dive too deep into that. And yeah, love hackathons. I attended my first ever hackathon last year. So actually it was Activate Miami. I worked on a hackathon, just doing some like sponsor recruitment and coordination and stuff like that. I worked on that. And then I realized this is like a really, really cool thing. So I want to actually try one myself. So I went to ETH Prague 2022, and that was the first time I ever hacked on anything. And then I've been attending on average a hackathon at least every 2 months since then, more as of recently.
Now it's every 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm addicted.
Yeah, totally. I'm addicted too, and that's why we see at at all the conferences. So, Paolo, what about you? Tell something about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a computer engineer. I've been working in the Ethereum ecosystem since 2018. So there were no NFTs and crazy smart contracts and stuff. And I've always been in the research and development field all my life. While I was working on a Web2 job, so I always worked on new project and like trying to invent new stuff. You can say like that. And but last year I wanted to change my life, and so I started to become a freelancer and go full time on both working with other people on their projects and also starting my projects. And right now I have a startup in the video gaming entertainment industry, and we develop services AI based or Web3 based for streamers, talent agencies, brands that want to work in the video gaming entertainment industry. And also I do love participating in hackathons. But I do it more like once every 6 months maybe. That's not to handle so many hackathons, but I think that we all have in common that passion of trying to get into that kind of competition where you need to put your skills to the test and and try to win some money, of course.
Oh yeah.
Well, 2 hackathons in 1 year, but when you do hackathons, you do it right, apparently.
Yeah.
But before going deep down in the hackathon conversation, I just wanted to break the ice with a fun question, maybe just to know ourselves a little bit more. So my question is quick round, so really 1 minute each. What's one thing that people don't know about you? So something that is, everybody knows that you are a builder, you are a developer, and you are working in a startup and whatever. But what's something that you feel like it's not weird, but people don't know? And I can go first. And
Okay.
people don't know that I was a DJ, and I'm actually planning to start DJing again. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Wow.
what about you?
When is the next DJ set?
E-Tron, probably.
Nice.
That's a really fun question. And I think that the most weird thing that I do that people do not know is that I could eat cereals in a bowl like all day long, like for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, at all the time. I could eat them, and I did also when I moved here alone, living alone here in Rome. There have been multiple days where I just have eaten cereals all the day with milk,
Okay.
of course, with milk.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
That was the following question.
yeah.
What about you guys?
All right. So one thing that probably most, I feel like, so my close friends, of course, they know it, but like a lot of people don't know that I have a twin, and probably you guys didn't know. And
No.
when people found out about it, or first, wow, or oh my god, I need to see pictures and stuff like that, or so yeah, I guess it's fun. I guess it's most people don't know it unless you know me for a while. So yeah, that's it.
And you're going to be hacking with your twin at the next hackathon.
And I'm gonna be hacking with him in Barcelona.
Which will be so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Have you
so
ever seen a hackathon team of twins? They're going to get all the prizes just because they're twins.
we will be there, so we would be happy to meet your twin. And
Absolutely.
what about you, Kirsten?
My weird thing is I raised a snake from a hatchling to maturity over the course of 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So he used to be smaller than my little finger, and then he grew to be longer than I am tall. And granted, I'm not very tall, but still, it was very impressive.
Cool. Yeah. Good answers. Good answers, and I'm glad that you were not prepared for this, but you demonstrated to be responsive enough. So let's get into it. My first question for you, Mattia, Kirsten, and also Paolo, you can tell me your perspective on this. So what's the reason why you participate in hackathons? I mean, you already mentioned that you are some kind of serial hackers addicted to hackathons and conferences. Why you do that? What's the energy that you get and whatever?
Swag. As you
Swag.
can tell.
And
Yeah.
I have that one. I love the T-shirt as well.
Exactly. Nice question. No. Again, there are a lot of reasons. So I guess first reason is because it's fun. So like I just really enjoy a lot to code in general, but especially to like challenge myself to come up with an idea and execute it in like 48 hours or whatever, and also with friends or people. So it's like it's really cool just to get to do stuff together, and also like learn something new, because you usually learn something new and see what you can come up with in 48 hours, like also a challenge for yourself. So I guess that's the first reason that always they're fun. Then other reasons are, so well, money is also a good reason, but it's not the main one, at least for me. The main ones will be fun, and depending on what you're regularly working on, I feel like hackathons can be a really great way to find people, to recruit people, and probably Kirsten can tell a bit more about this because she basically grew her whole team at hackathons.
Yeah.
I'm just getting started with this, but it's a great way to meet people and recruit them, because you actually get to work with them and see how you work together, and how you get along, and how they actually are able to do things. So recruiting is super hard, we know, because you're maybe just messaging with some random guys making random interviews, but you don't know how they actually do things. With a hackathon, if you get to hack together, you have the opportunity to actually test this. So yeah, it's great for finding people. And usually people that go at hackathons are people that want to build stuff, either join startups or make their own startups. So they're usually looking for people to build stuff with. Yeah, so that's a great reason. Yeah, also just for building stuff, it's useful. It's like where you get a lot of stuff done in short time. So if you manage to do something that is actually helpful for your main project, that's cool, because like in like a weekend you get stuff that maybe you usually get done in a week or more. So yeah.
Nice.
So
Kirsten.
I have 4. Let's see if I can remember all of them. So the first one that was really like the motivation for going to, well, every hackathon since my second hackathon that I was actually hacking at is, yeah, like Mattia said, connecting with people and then just seeing if they'd be vibey collaborators. So basically at the first hackathon that I ever attended, which was, like I said, ETH Prague, I hacked alone. So I just like sat in a corner and coded some demo front end stuff and then shipped it. And then afterwards, and keep in mind, this is like basically just a few weeks after I decided to do an MVP of Talent Layer. So I really like, hypothetically, I needed to be out there recruiting, but I didn't even think of anything like that at hackathons. I was just sort of doing it to, I guess, gain visibility around the project. But I was talking to someone after the hackathon, and that person was Clement with Claros. Hi, Clement. If you're watching the recording, we appreciate you. And Clement told me that I really shouldn't be hacking alone because there are so many devs that like wander around hackathons and just don't know what to build, but they're so passionate about coding and they're so passionate about blockchain. And sometimes you have people that like literally go to hackathons, and because they're so shy that they like don't talk to people, they don't find teams.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So he was like, Kirsten, go to the other hackathons and actually go work with people. So I was like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. So then I went to ETHCC's hackathon and did that. So I just like DM'd a bunch of people on Discord. And then during ETHCC's hackathon, we built out like the very early MVP of Talent Layer, which was awesome. And I happened to meet someone who's currently my co-founder, Roma, who's like literally the best co-founder ever.
Shout out to Roma.
Shout out to Roma, you the best. And then we just decided to keep going to hackathons. So then we went to another one, and then we met other people that ended up deciding to join the team, or basically like open source movement behind Talent Layer. And then we went to another one and we met more people. And then we went to another one and we met Mattia, who worked on Talent Layer for a while. And then, yeah, we just basically kept going to hackathons and hacking with new people. And then a lot of the time people decide to stick around. And like for the first 5 hackathons that we ever did, like we didn't win any prizes. Like we just vibed and built stuff and had a good time. And yeah, so basically that was like the number one reason of always going to hackathons. Also, the second biggest, and maybe even like equally big, is like you can ship a lot of stuff at hackathons. So if you're building towards some sort of broader effort, like, well, I don't know, you're building some sort of product or protocol or whatever, hackathons are a really good opportunity to just like ship a ton of stuff that's directly usable by you. So of course, sometimes you have to like tweak the scope to qualify for specific bounties or tracks and stuff like that. But what we've been able to do is for pretty much every hackathon, aside from like 1 or 2 that we've attended, it's been like we spec it so that it's something that happened to be on our roadmap coming up. And then we just, get it done in a weekend in a very quick sprint. And I mean, that's like also super fun. Yeah. And yeah, so I had 4, so that was 2. One of them was fun. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. And just awesome like team bonding too. Like we love bringing out like a bunch of Talent Layer people, and we've been doing Talent Layer houses. So we just have like this big open source community, right? So we got like a big house in Prague, and we had like 10 rooms, and just a bunch of people came and hung out, and it was great. So yeah, I forget what the 4th one was.
So I will add maybe just meeting people because like
yeah, I remember. It was visibility. Yeah. So it is really, really powerful to be able to start conversations with pretty much any sponsoring organization you want, and then be like, hey, here's this hackathon project. Please help me with this bug. Also, talent layer. Built on also. Let's talk about it.
So yeah, great way to start partnerships for sure. And also, I just meet all people around because Web3 people are all around the world. We have friends all around, like you guys, for example, that we don't really hang out often together, but we meet at every single event.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great just to keep in touch with the friends in the community.
Yeah, I love also this last one from you. It's something really amazing to meet people from like in Prague, in Amsterdam, in Barcelona next. I really love to have these friends around the world, and then we meet all together in the same place for conferences. And I wanted to know from you, Paolo, since you have a different, as you said, you do hackathons twice per year at most. What was the reason? Of course, I know why twice per year, but what's the reason why you go to an hackathon?
Like I think that Mattia and Kirsten already said pretty much all the strong points for the hackathon. So the only thing that I can add from my perspective is that I think it sounds a little bit masochist maybe, but I do like working in stress condition with limited time, and I do perform better when I have a small period of time instead when I have a lot of time and I can organize my work in the best way possible. And so it's a little bit satisfying because you have that small time and you need to ship something and it needs to work, and when you go and show it to the sponsors or to the judges, it needs to work, and so on and so forth. And so I like being in that situation where I need to be fast and think fast and optimize everything in order to stay in that set 60-hour window, 72-hour window, or whatever, in order to ship the product. So I do work well under stress, and since I cannot do it once every 2 weeks because otherwise I would be dead already, I do it just like 2 or 3 times per year, and I just put myself into it, and I do pretty much all or nothing. So that's how Brian was born, and that's when our Gitgate was born, and let's see what other project comes out from an hackathon where I'll go to.
Wait, what's the second project that you said?
It's Gitgate. We did it at IT Lisbon with Limone and Frank.
Okay.
Luca.
IT Lisbon, yeah, in October. Was last October, yeah.
Past year,
yeah.
Nice.
Our first one. And Paolo, to continue with you, what's your method for hackathons? Do you have any I don't know how you approach an hackathon? Do you have any not guideline, but you get prepared, I don't know, some weeks before, or you study something, or you just go there and see and try to figure out something to build?
I like chaos. the chaos of being in that situation where you need to do stuff and you have people telling you, do this, and other people do this. And so I usually do not come prepared. Like, I do know, of course, what are the bounties. I speak with my team. We can imagine this. We can do that. But it's not like I prepare stuff or study stuff. Really, I just go there and just do it, because otherwise you lose a little bit of fun.
And so Brian was born there in Prague.
Yeah.
In the chaos.
Okay.
Wow.
In the pure chaos of the Wi-Fi not working.
Oh my god. We found a secret Wi-Fi in Prague.
You're not supposed to tell people about that.
I mean,
why didn't you tell everyone?
The Wi-Fi of the cafe next to the venue, So, but yeah, it was good.
You cheated.
You could consider that cheating, honestly.
You had an advantage with respect to others. Internet working, an unfair advantage.
You still want more bounties, so
it's true. So.
Yeah. And about you, Mattia and Casey, you won many hackathons. We want to know the secret formula,
Secret Service.
secret
So
sauce.
I want to give a bit of background on all of the failures first. So, like I said, at
Wise.
least Team Talent Layer, like we went to 5 hackathons and we won nothing. And we realized it was because we were not optimizing for the right things. So, for one, we were building things that were like technically complicated, kind of hard to explain, even if they were really cool. And even if what we shipped was really impressive, we were waiting until like the last minute to submit, and oftentimes like not
Typical.
finishing. I know, typical, and oftentimes not finishing the front end, but having like all the back end and complicated stuff done. And we didn't spend enough time on like presentation. We didn't talk to sponsors really. We just sort of like, built stuff and then submitted it.
Have fun, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we had fun, but also like obviously it would have been cool if we could qualify for prizes because that's like awesome, but we just like didn't realize these were things to optimize for. So now after all of that, we ended up realizing, like really the first time that we ever won any bounty was ETH Denver.
Yes.
And we won one bounty, and that was from the Fluence team. And we were like hanging out with the Fluence team, asking them a bunch of questions, going to their workshops. And it's like we shipped something really cool that was super tailored to Fluence. So we ended up getting that bounty, and that sort of triggered like a connection and being like, wait a minute. Okay, so if we really build stuff that's targeted to specific bounties, and if we try to build relationships with the people that are, managing the selection, then that probably means you'll be able to have a better chance. So that's one thing we realized, and so far that has been true. Because like basically ever since then, we've consistently gotten bounties. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend to people, like go show people your project. That's literally why they're sitting there at the stands. And if you have questions, like go physically talk to people, don't just DM on Discord. And then like that was the first thing that we realized. And then just like a few hackathons ago, we realized that you have to have something like super easy to explain. Because like the pitch is really important, and whether or not people get the problem you're solving is really important. And yeah, so as long as it's easy to explain, like optimally easy to demo as well, and then you build relationships with the people, that's sort of what I think is the route to success after the experiences that we had.
Nice. And what about the team, for example? You mentioned that sometimes you bring new people in, but maybe you have also a core team or some people that act with you more than once. What's your approach with that?
Whenever I can, I try to hack with my co-founder because my co-founder is like the best dev ever. Basically with Talent Layer, usually we have between like 4 and 6 or 7 people going to hackathons. So that's like more than one team. So we usually just sort of, I don't know, maybe form 2 teams or 1.5 and bring on other people and sort of mix things up. But yeah, so realistically, like it is people that like come out to these hackathons and already know each other, already vibe, sort of have like a flow of like how they know how to work together. But yeah, usually we're also like bringing in 1 or 2, new people that we haven't hacked with before. But we definitely coordinate that beforehand. So I know, Carlos, you said that you love the chaos. I mean, I also love chaos, but I feel like if you're going to like one thing that we realized is like it actually is really helpful to prepare if you want to try to win prizes. Yeah. So we prepare, and also considering most of the time we're building stuff that's already on our roadmap, like it's already kind of like been thought out at least. So yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit in the middle between chaos and totally organized. I do like to go with an idea in mind, but that's it basically. I mean, I know what idea and what bounties I want to use, but I don't really over plan with like, oh, you do this, you do this, let's do the prototype, the design, and so I'm like freestyle
And
other than the
it's basically what I meant before. Like I do have an idea, the bounties, but when I go there, it's not like it's everything prepared and structured out. It's just do it. Like see how it goes.
I'm a little bit more like that. Also depends on who I'm working with, so it really depends. And two things to add, maybe to the strategy, let's say, other than something easy to explain, I will say also something easy to test. So something that people with a good UX, that people can go there and in 2 clicks they get some value, because nobody's gonna like try all your demo application, look at every single line of code. So to see that you actually shipped something meaningful, especially for the bounties, I feel they kind of want to see that you know easily test and it works. I get something, it's not just words. And of course you can show a lot of this in the demo. And what else? I want to start something. Oh yeah, on the teams. On the teams, I really think the size is important. I like small teams, so like 2 or 3 people for me is the best, probably 3. I hacked a couple times with 2 people, like me and another person, so 2 in total, and it was great. Like it feels like, oh my god, only 2, and maybe other people are in 5, and of course they're gonna do much more. They're gonna win twice as you. I don't think it's true. Also, you miss a lot on management if you have like many people, especially people that maybe you're hacking with for the first time together. So yeah, that's a good point. Like if you're hacking with people that it's good to have a bigger team. If you're totally random people, just keep it small, in my opinion, first.
And yeah, maybe I'll start with Paolo. I have another question about the team formation. Not only about the sites. I'm curious to know your take about the skills that you think are needed or may benefit a team during an hackathon. If it's better to have I don't know, a complete team with a front end or full stack, back end, Solidity dev, or even a business guy or a designer. What's your take on that, Paolo?
It's a pretty tough question. It depends, I think, on the idea and on the product that you want to ship during the hackathon. Like for most of the projects, I do not think that a designer should be there. But if you are doing something which heavily relies on UI UX, I'm sorry, I have the cat that is biting my feet, and that's why I'm moving. But if you need but if your product needs a really tailor-made UX UI, maybe you need a designer. So it's a pretty tough question to answer. I think that heavily depends on the idea, and I think also that it's better to have a good synergy between the people you're working with, instead of having all the competencies that you need for that kind of project, because you can squeeze out competencies from people or from yourself that you didn't know you had, but if you are working well with the people of the hackathon. I'm sorry, but it's
I love your kitten.
Hey.
So cute.
biting my feet is kind of hurting. Yeah, so it depends on the idea. I do prefer having synergy rather than competencies, because most of the times, if you have for example, a 5-person team, and all of you have really high competencies in pretty much everything, you're gonna end up like arguing with each other. So it's better to have
and
something
with Brian, for example, I know that you were 5. So
Yeah.
how were you distributed?
Did you fight?
That's we were 5 in Brian, and we had pretty much all different competencies. As we said, I did the front end part and the back end part, and Marcello, which is a AI expert, did all the machine learning and large language model stuff. Francesco did the contracts and also studying of documentation for building Brian knows, and Federico, which is a data scientist, data analyst and scientist, studied the data we had to feed Brian, and Gallo did nothing. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Free
kidding.
Gallo, free
It's a gag.
Gallo.
Italian gag. And Gallo instead, which is a pretty good DeFi expert, he started tracking all the projects that we could implement inside Brian, and how to what kind of different operations needed to be done, for example, during the borrow, the lending and the borrowing in the same operation, and so on and so forth. So even if like we do not cover pretty much everything, because we do not have I don't know, business development or design, but I think that we did good, and we won some prizes because we know each other, I think, since 2010, and so that was just pure synergy between us, I think, and that's what I prefer.
Cool.
So I
Go
think that I think that for hackathons, I feel the same way how I feel about building very early stage startup teams, and that is you want as many generalists as possible. So optimally, generalists that are also technical, or at least technical to some level. So my optimal team setup would be like just full stacks that are also good at talking to people. And as long as you define roles properly, then you won't have fighting. If you have people that vibe with each other and you just know your roles, then it's easy. So most of the time when like talent layer is hacked, like most of us are full stack. I mean, I'm just front end, but we define roles pretty clearly. So I would also say one role that's a must have, even if like the person happens to be a dev, just like get someone to go be the relationship manager. And this person like needs to be technical enough to explain, the project and maybe any like issues that you're having with specific tech you're trying to implement from the sponsor. But yeah, that's an important role. And then as far as skill sets, optimally full stacks that are good at talking to people.
Yeah, it's important to have someone that like just goes and talks with sponsors or whoever around and makes it so they remember your face, or at least the name of your project, or something to, that then when they're looking at the project, so something clicks, oh, I talked with these guys, they're fun.
Which means make your landing page just your face.
Your logo.
Yeah,
like this is us. Remember us, please.
Yeah. You could have been Brian.
Oh my God. Sure.
Makes sense for them.
And about the level of skills, I mean, we mentioned like full stack developers, front end developers. How do you feel about, or maybe you have some tips for people that are developers but are non-Web3 developers? Do you think they need some kind of special skills to join this type of hackathons, or maybe they just you feel like they just need to go in and try themselves? What's your take on this?
Just go.
Give it a try. Yeah.
No harm.
I agree.
Absolutely. Also, so there are, of course, different types of teams at hackathons. Maybe there are those teams that really want like full stack solidity, Web3, 3 years of experience, DeFi, DGen, I don't know. And so maybe, they're not like beginner friendly, like they don't want like juniors to join their team, while other people are completely fine with that. And so it's a great opportunity to just go and learn. And also, like, even if you don't know like Web3 itself, you can just do front end or something. I mean, of course, most of the time you still need to interact with some Web3 stuff, but you can get around it. So no excuse, just go. And it's not that hard to find people that are willing to take juniors, or not juniors. I mean, even senior people that are just on the Web3,
I think that you just need to find a way to be helpful for your team.
Yeah.
Like whether it is okay. So I'm not a technical guy. I study well how our project is supposed to work, and I will go and pitch it to all the sponsors and to everyone 24/7. Ask for feedbacks. Let them show. Like you can do pretty much everything. You can study the documentation of the projects that will be implemented inside the project and explain it to the people. But now that there's Brian for that. And of course you can do a lot of stuff. You just need to be creative and find a way to help your team in case you do not know how to code, and if you do know how to code as well, find something that you can do to alleviate pressure on the two guys or three guys that are working with you that are developing. Try to simplify stuff for them and just be helpful, because otherwise you would be like useless for the team. So be useful and find something to do. Don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
totally. And I totally agree with the feeling of just going in and challenge yourself and get something new, a new experience, whatever, and don't be afraid of joining a team of people that you don't know, and and yeah, grow yourself and your skills in Web3 also. Yeah, that said, I think we covered almost all the questions that I had from the hacker's point of view. So we've been talking about tips, tricks, secret sauces, or how to craft the best team ever for an hackathon, the strategy to talk with sponsors, and all this stuff that are useful for hackers. And now I want to move the conversation a little bit on the hackathon organizer side. So you are all hackers. I'm an hacker as well. But as you know, me and Paolo, we are organizing Eat Rome, so an hackathon, and it's our first experience organizing an hackathon, and we are trying. So one of the reasons why I'm traveling a lot this year is to experience the most out of these Web3 events and understand what's working and what's not. And so I'm curious to know.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, yeah,
First thing.
that's the first thing, and for sure we are taking care of it. But I want to know something more spicy, something that for an hacker is really
iPhone is spicy.
crucial. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so Wi-Fi is an issue everywhere, right? Like it's even hard for ETH Global that has like endless money to be able to solve something like that. So that's something that we'll put on a shelf. But the biggest issue that has been present in literally every hackathon that I've ever attended is, and this is something that people always complain about, is something that, like, I don't know, I think it can be solved, but for some reason it's not being solved, is judging around the tech, right? So we've been explaining these hacks and all, like, oh, how you can just like with building relationships and a fancy presentation and good front end and stuff like that qualify for grants. But realistically, it shouldn't matter. Like you should be able to build something super cool that's like only backend, only protocol, or just like, I don't know, maybe not spend as much time on the front end, but build something that's super cool, and then still be able to qualify. But the reason why that's not the case is because they do not give judges time for actual technical diligence.
Yeah.
And this is like, I've seen different ways of trying to solve this. So like there's many things that cause this, right? Like first of all, at a lot of hackathons, the people that they select as judges sometimes aren't technical, or like a lot of times it's like VCs or business dev people or partnerships and stuff like that. So I think in general, having more technical judges will help. But even technical judges can't assess hundreds of projects in a reasonable amount of time. And all of the hackathons, like they need to, or they feel at least that they need to announce prizes the same day. So they even push like bounty sponsors to announce the same day, which means even those guys, which would do the technical diligence because they really, really care, and it's like, it's their tech, they have their devs literally there on site, like they don't give them enough time to do that. So even those guys have to go based on, you know, the superficial aspects of the project. So like this is super frustrating, especially for a lot of devs that are like working on the hard stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, the projects that just have some like fancy UI but like didn't really build stuff are winning. And also I like hackathons that I've attended have accidentally given prizes to projects that didn't have working products, because of like, you know, snazzy looking demos that actually weren't plugged into anything. So it's a big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, yeah, that's so true. The hackathons are meant to be for builders, not for sellers. So even like we realize that you gotta be a little bit of seller in hackathons. So you gotta at least like try to sell you, not only your project, yourself too. So just make people like you. So like they should be equalitarian enough where even if you're like that shy guy that doesn't talk, at least you need to, you know, be able to explain what you build, because some documentation is always needed. But like even those people are just purely technical, they don't want to go around and chill their project around, or still, you know, have more chances. And I'm not saying that this never happens. I feel like sometimes this does happen. I mean, I don't know about all the experiences of people going around and pitching. I feel like this happens probably for more for like the main tracks rather for the Montes, but maybe that's only my take on this. But yeah, that's it.
Paolo,
Yeah.
you have some hot takes?
I think that the judges, apart from the Wi-Fi, is of course a really tough challenge for us hackathon organizers, because I do get, of course, what Mattia and Kirsten are saying, and but the fact I think is that everything is related to having the prizes being announced at, it's destroying my leg, having the prizes being announced like the last day of the hackathon, so that everybody is happy, you can make the ceremony and so on and so forth. I would prefer, to be honest, to have a more in-depth analysis from the judges of the projects regarding the code side, because I think that it's kind of driving away a lot of potential developers that would want to come into these hackathons and build, I don't know, some infrastructure stuff or just some backend stuff, as you said, and they cannot do it because you do not have anything to show, like and stuff like that, and you have no real access to bounties or to prizes of the hackathon. And so I think that having the prizes be announced a week later is something, but then you have people that say, yeah, but we need to do the conference when everything ends because the sponsors have given you money and you need to show them their logo. So it's also this kind of intersection between the organizing stuff and being an hacker that wants to organize an hackathon in the best way. So that's pretty much it. And I think that, well, of course, the logistics and the location and everything that revolves around the location of the hackathon, I think it's pretty much essential. So you need to have good Wi-Fi, you need to have good services, you need to have 24/7 access, you need to have good food and water and drinks and energy drinks. Of course, that was something that was missing in ETH Prague. And yeah, so I think that those are the two main components that I judge an hackathon mainly by these two components. So location, Wi-Fi, food, and so on, and then the judging part. Basically, the whole hackathon, but yeah, that's what makes an hackathon a good one, I think.
Yeah,
I would say that for the judging, especially for the sponsors, so the sponsor bounties, it should be up to them whether to just tell who's the winner, you know, the same day or after a week. So of course, it's not cool if they take like 1 month. But like, for example, like in Amsterdam, I really appreciated the Railgun team. They basically took time to look at everybody's code, and it was not few people. Like most people actually hacked on Railgun, so it was a lot of people. But they took the time to do it because they really care about how the actual implementation was, not just the demo. So yeah, so that was like up to the sponsors, I guess.
Yeah,
And
that's good. And I think also one solution would be also to have more judges and more technical judges rather than non-technical judges, because what I've seen also in other hackathons is that you have judges that maybe of course are from the ecosystem, know the projects, maybe are building a project, but when you need to judge someone else's code, you need to know how to code, and you need to know how to read what it's written inside of it. And so I think that there are a lot of tech and developers that would like to do judges at hackathons, would like to judge, but most of the times I don't think that they are even taken into consideration, because it's most of the times it's better to have someone which is the face of the X protocol or something like that, rather than having someone that knows how to read code. That's my take. It's kind of polemic, but
It's a
I
good
no, but I like it.
I think that we
So-
should need more devs.
Yeah, definitely more devs. Like, it's just crazy to me how many people that judge at hackathons are just VCs and like non-technical VCs. So what do you expect the outcome of these results being if like it can't be anything other than like the buzzwords of the day are gonna win, like AI. Sorry, Brian. And they're good at pitching. Yeah.
No, but it's true, and this is even a larger problem because it applies to the VC world in general, that most of them are not technical and want to how can I say it in English? Want to say their opinion on something which is most of the time 90% technical, and this is crazy. Like, how can you give a prize to someone which just did all tech stuff, but you are basing your judging votes and quadratic funding and quadratic voting and so on and so forth, 20,000 different techniques, but you are voting based on how the project was pitched on or how beautiful was the presentation, or how many different kind of buzzwords were present in the presentation. Or, as you said before, I can easily set up a demo that works, because if you type X or if you type Z, it works, but if you try, I don't know, 20,000 different stuff, it doesn't work. And this is crazy. I do agree 100%.
Yeah, and I think, what do you think about, so because we did Rome, we are leaning towards this narrative, which is an hackathon for builders by builders, because as you know, we are hackers as well. And so
for devs.
yeah. And I was thinking during your discussion about the judges and their technical vibes or not, or VCs. What do you think about having previous hackathon winners as judges? It's something really spicy.
But sorry,
That's interesting.
I said, Paolo, the idea of selecting like the best hackers from previous hackathons and asking them to judge, of course, if they're not participating.
Yeah. Well, from an hackathon organizer, it depends what you want. Because if you select the best ones and they are gonna judge, they are not gonna hack.
Yeah,
You are missing all
that's
the
a good
best hackers.
point.
So I don't know. I think that I would have the best hackers hack and then have technical people judge rather than the other way around, because I do really value a lot the output of the hackathon in terms of cool projects. rather than having good judges. Like, I think that it's plenty. We can find some technical, and of course, if there are hackers that do not hack at the hackathon and they are good hackers and they want to judge, of course they can do it. But if all of them do it, I don't know if the trade-off is good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it really depends. Also, like, I don't, not necessarily someone that just won a hackathon. I think is like ready to judge every kind of project. So maybe like they did something very specific, very niche. Maybe they put some AI.
Exactly. They just won prizes on buzzwords that they actually can't code,
No,
and
but
it's just a mock
Yeah,
project.
even if they won, like, being legit,
destroying me.
I feel like judges, since they need to like look at like so many different kinds of projects, need to be people that have like pretty general knowledge about the things, I guess. So, yeah.
And
You
and
need
we have
to have-
we have a question. Oh no, you have something to add, Paulo?
No, I just was saying that if we want to go on the dev route for the judges, of course the judges need to have the knowledge, not the 100% knowledge of all the Web3 world, but at least know the coding and what you are going to see. Like, if I don't know, maybe we can add something that tells us just basically in what language everything was written, and you can just start dividing, I don't know, the judges that know TypeScript, the judges that know Rust, and you can just start dividing them into subcategories, and at least you have people that know how to read that code. And then, of course, they need to have the knowledge of everything that it's built upon, but that can be achieved, I think, just by searching stuff on the internet and having a good documentation of the project, which is pretty helpful, I think so.
Spicy question. It's a
Cool.
spicy, yeah, it's a spicy session because otherwise it's boring, So in our Discord channel, Irminius just asked us, what's the worst project that you've seen winning an hackathon, and when, or where?
You expect me to report?
I think I have one. So,
Brian!
no. So it wasn't bad per se, but it was basically like an aggregator of deployments. So basically, you deploy your.
That was great though.
It was.
I liked
It
that
was kind of great and still at the same time, because like it was just something that you deploy your contracts on like 10 chains at the same time, which is actually great if you want to do a hackathon with a lot of L1s and L2 sponsoring, because you just do it in 1 second.
Use case.
But I don't think it was deserving to win, honestly. But yeah, that's my take at least.
Do you have one, Kirsti?
Oh, skip me. Let me think some more.
Okay, Paolo.
Well, I pretty much do not remember any project from the Lisbon one, and from the Prague I have a big idea. I do only remember good projects because the other ones do not really stick in my mind. So it's pretty hard. I don't know. I do not remember any weird project or.
Okay, and let's reverse the question then. The best project you've seen?
Brian.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
No, it was, I think, the one that it's not like really complicated. Well, it was a little bit complicated, but I think that it was called Glacier DAO.
Oh yeah, that was in it Lisbon. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, I remember this one. It must be
What
great.
was that one about? I remember the name, and I remember
I
thinking
think that it was a DAO that saved like open source projects on EPFS, on some holes that were, I don't know. It was something like that, and it was pretty cool, and I loved the name, and that's why I do remember it. And also there was one, I will say one for each hackathon, and one at the ETHPROG that was the plantation station, I think that it was called.
that was really interesting.
that was really interesting, because I've never seen someone, even in Web2 hackathons, do stuff like that. And so it's pretty creative, it's pretty interesting, and I think that you can see that they like did not only thought about the bounties and the hackathon, but they like came up with a really cool idea and creative idea to get the money and the bounties, and they did it in a really cool way. So props to them. I think that they are from United Kingdom, I think, or Amsterdam. I don't know. We met them in Prague.
Cool. Yeah, I'd say one last question for each of you, and then we can close. We are at 1 hour now, so 5 more minutes. Bear with us, stick with us. I have two questions. I'm not sure which one to ask.
The most spicy one, I guess.
No, they're not spicy, I think. Yeah, let's go. Let's go with this one. How do you think? I mean, you know, I've been asking you, all of you, also Paolo. I've involved you in some conversations or ideas or brainstorming about these hackathons and how the projects that come out of an hackathon are not often going forward with the development or with raising funds or taking grants, or so most of the projects just stop there, and I think there's a bug in the system, and maybe there are some ways in which we can optimize the hackathons and the events and how are they organized, so that the projects that we are building there are actually something meaningful for the and useful for the overall ecosystem, and not just to get, you know, some bounties and money, and that's it. So my question is, in that direction, how do you think hackathons and events could and should evolve in the next years to improve the effect that they can have in the Web3 ecosystem, but overall in our society from a technical point of view?
I think that hackathons should not be open tracks. For example, just let me rephrase that. I think that hackathons should have tasks, like at least for the tracks of the hackathon. Then the sponsors and the bounties can do whatever they want. I think that the tracks need to have some tasks that are something that improves the technology or the Web3 ecosystem in some way. So, for example, if we are working in the ZK, and for our hackathon, for the privacy track, for example, for the ZK one, I think that we should have some tasks that the people must need to do, because those are tasks that drive the privacy forward. For example, or privacy or account abstraction or whatever, it can be applied to any kind of concept. And I think that is the only way where people realize that if I'm going for that track, for that particular track, I'm going to build something that, if it wins and if it gets recognized as a winner project, I can keep developing it, because it's something that will be useful for the ecosystem. The problem, I think, with the hackathon, it's not a bug. It's the fact that the structure of a lot of hackathons just pushes a lot of hackers to just go and bounty hunt and try to get money, and which is completely fine, which is not a problem. But if our goal is to try and bring some change into some small aspects or particular aspects of the Web3 ecosystem, we need to give some tracks or some rails that people need to follow, tasks to complete. And then I think that you will have, I don't know, the best project that developed the new account abstraction thing, which is pretty cool. And if it wins, it will be either that someone gets their idea and makes it better, or they keep on developing the project. If we just leave everything to the to the fate. It's just people will do whatever they want, and just 80 or 90% of them just strive for the money, which is 100% correct, and it's nothing wrong, but it's not pushing the ecosystem for. Of course, you can do a project that goes for the bounties, which is also cool, as Brian, which is the best one, but I finished.
I think it's very cool what you said, and I would agree.
Very
I would agree.
insightful.
I think also maybe the prices should be a little bit like rethink, rather than I give you money and let's say you go home with that money. Maybe, I don't know, I give you half of the money and then we do more like a grant thing where we define what else you can do and more milestone stuff. So like bounty that gets into a regular grant. So that's how usually grants work. So it's something that I just came up with. Probably need to think more about it, but yeah, it could be interesting. Also, so because I feel like the main two reasons that people don't keep going on hackathon projects are either they don't have, maybe they don't have money. Yeah, you're sure maybe you can make 1K for a hackathon bounty, but it's not enough to quit your job and go full time on that. So one is money, and one is maybe that they're just technical people, so they don't have anyone doing like the more business side of things, and they maybe strive for a couple of weeks after the hackathon and they end up realizing, oh shit, I don't know how to market this, and they just quit. So maybe it's cool to have something that enables also like people to connect better at hackathons, and also after the hackathon to just say, hey, you worked on this and I'm interested in this, and then like a business guy, I'm the technical guy that did this and in the same topic area. So like, I don't know if this should look like a platform or like an event or something, but just better ways to connect after the hackathon for actual people that want to bring on stuff. So yeah,
I think that we also need to consider that not all hackers even like want to carry on the project.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, obviously I'm working on Talent Layer. Like, I'm not going to take any of the hackathon projects that I do and go like have that as a full-time or even like part-time thing. And I know like a lot of other founders that do that. Like, they just go to hackathons either for fun or recruiting or just, any number of different things. So that's like a large demographic of the people that attend these things. They just already have their projects, they're occupied, they don't want to do new stuff, and they're just here for like fun or some other reason. But with that said, the stuff that they're shipping there can still be useful. And I think that like, I just absolutely love everything that you said, Paolo, because like I've been thinking about this issue for a while. Like, all the projects, or not all the projects, but a lot of projects that are shipped to hackathons, they're like, well, very superficial, or it's like, random ass use case. But like, there's so many really important areas that we need innovation to be happening, and we need innovation to be happening rapidly. And like, oh my gosh, what if every hackathon just all of a sudden structured their tracks the way that you said, where it's like, we have like, the world needs these 10 account abstraction things to be a lot better. Go do the innovation, or go do the innovation in ZK. And it's like, imagine how much rapid iteration you would have in these very small development cycles with so many hackathons happening. And then basically, even if someone is not carrying on that project as their project, it's just open source code. And if it's actually something that's a real innovation, which is what should be winning the prizes in that situation, then people will just go and use it, or maybe someone else carry it on, which you mentioned briefly as well, but I wanted to like really hit home on that, because that's super powerful.
Yeah. If I can add something, another thing that I think could be cool is to have more co-sponsorships. So basically to sponsor having a bounty together to make a use case, to use the two projects together. And why this? Because if you think about it, also to bring on this ecosystem, we gotta add more use cases, having everything more connected, not just everyone building on
composability.
Yeah, composability. That's the whole Web3 cases. So seriously, there are so many new things that can be done by taking two protocols and making them work together. But maybe people don't think about it. But like, if you have two sponsors that come together and say, hey, do something that takes feature A from me and feature B from this guy, and you hack on this, you have new use cases that like people can do. And by the way, Town Layer and XMTP are just doing this for Eat Waterloo, and it's probably one of the first times that I see doing this.
Yeah.
So
We haven't really seen anyone doing it
I
before.
mean, there was Gnosis Chain and Gateway in
Oh yeah,
Prague,
Gnosis and
so that was actually
yeah,
the
that was
first
the
time.
first time. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's the one both.
so yeah, that's true.
So glad.
Paulo, stop.
I'm
Paulo,
sorry, I'm
stop,
sorry.
please.
So yeah, this I think this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
That can be, can open to more use cases.
So if anyone's going to ETH Waterloo, go hack on Talent Layer XMTP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk with you about XMTP in the next days because
You
Yeah,
did
yeah.
use it, no? In one of your
No, I did not. I studied it a little bit, but was really interesting, and I think it could be a good fit for eToro Hackathon because it's a end-to-end encrypted messaging thing. So
Yeah. We
Oh,
love
yeah.
XMTP.
yeah, so I think I will reach out to you tomorrow to know more about it. Yeah, I mean, great conversation. Really loved it. Insightful, I'd say, and I'm seeing a lot of interactions also on Discord of people discussing about the judging thing in particular that generated a lot of
Spicy.
a lot of spiciness, and I'm happy for that. And I'm sure that this live will be also useful for hackers, but also hopefully for hackathon organizers as well. So it was great having you here, and yeah, looking forward to meet you in Barcelona. Meet you also your twin,
Absolutely.
Mattia. Just remember to put a T-shirt with your name, otherwise we will not recognize.
You will be able to tell. He has longer hair, so if
Okay.
someone has longer hair than this, probably it's not me.
Cool. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And good luck on all your hackathons, guys.
Yeah.
You can do it.
And
Good luck,
for
guys.
organizing it Rome, which we're super
Yes.
excited about.
Woo!
Yeah.